So let me quickly summarize on what I was trying to do. So Java Reflections is a mechanism. Java Reflections is a mechanism to query, to query an object and figure out additional details about it when we don't know anything about it. So how we do? Every class or every object has something called get class. Get class, and that let me show you from the code. So anything you take, any object you take that has a method called get class, it will give you something called class. Now if you see, as I mentioned, it starts with a capital C. Okay, it's a class name. Okay, I mean it's a separate class. It is different from your keyword called class, where everything is in small letter. Okay, so then this class object, now you take the object and that object dot, here say I named it as my class dot get methods. So it's going to give me what are the methods available in this particular object. Okay, and then I'm trying to print those methods, and when I'm printing, see here there's it returns an array of method array, and for each method I'm going to print the name and return type. Also I'm trying to see if there are any annotations available there. So method I, for each method I see whether any annotation is specified or not. So this is something. And also now if I want to get the properties of the particular class, if there are any declared fields, now here I can say my class dot get declared fields. My class dot get declared fields. This will give an array of fields, and for each field you can pretty much print what is a modifier and whether it is private. Now if I look at this, the modifier is an integer. Modifier is an integer, but what is happening is that you can say modifier dot sorry, I let me reverse this order so that it will be easy. So for each field you can ask for its modifier, not only for the field, for methods as well. Okay, but I just mentioned here in the method place. So I can get modifier which is an int value. Returns the Java language modifier for the field represented by this field object. Look at the Java doc as an integer. The modifier class should be used to decode the modifier. I mean it returns the int value, but generally what you have for a method or for a field, it could be private, public. You can figure out there are so many other access specifiers. So this returns the int value, but then how we can get it? We have some class called modifier, and the modifier dot is private. I don't even need this object. It's a static method, so I can perfect. So I can say whether it is private or not. Here I'm checking modifier dot is private and giving the value from modifiers. Field dot get modifiers. I'm getting int value. I'm giving that to modifier class that has static method called is private, and you can just check. You have similar to is private. You have is integer. Now we see. Let us see. Is here is abstract, is final, is interface, is native. There are so many methods. So using this thing, you can figure out what type of field it is or method it is. Okay. It's a very interesting thing, especially used in building frameworks. If you are familiar with any advanced framework, most of the guys they try to use these frameworks. And also here, if I just load a class, Now let me, we can actually, I'll show you in this demo. Here this guy, class with annotation, he says, now this class dot, there is another thing, interesting thing, because I'm talking about reflections. What I can show you is, okay, what I can do is, class, new class, object name, just I'm writing as a new class, so don't please get confused with that. I say class dot for name, and it will be do java dot lang dot say thread. I'll explain it once. New class dot let's see in the method part, method, so dot, yeah, for method you have, you have something called invoke. If I want to invoke a method, I can use invoke method and give the parameters. It takes a variable number of parameters. See, this is another thing interesting. Okay, if you are ever experienced this variable arguments in C, then yes, Java also has it. What you have to do is you have to type your, at the end, you see here, says this guy says at least you have two parameters, and then after that put three dots, sorry, first one argument object obj followed by object three dots and args. So that means that a second parameter is an array of objects. So you can give what, if you know that that particular method takes 4 or 5 parameters, you can give. If it takes 10 parameters, you can give those parameters. Okay, so you need to, but you have to give correct values, then only it will work. Otherwise it will throw, see here, it throws illegal access exception, illegal argument exception, invocation target exception, some exceptions from Java reflections package. So it will throw exceptions. So the interesting part is that it is, you can dissect. It is something like, if you are doing a biology class, and maybe you are dissecting a frog or something and figuring out what it is there. So you do something of that sort. You have a class, or you, even if you don't need to have a class object. Okay, in this case I have an object. See here, in this case I have an object. I created an object, and I'm on top of object I'm trying to query. But then let's come down a little bit. You look at this part. Here I don't even have an object. Okay, so what I have is, I just do the class name, complete name, in the sense package and class name. So I can use class dot for name. See again here, C is capital. It is not a Java keyword, rather a class called class. Class dot for name, and give your complete package name, package and class name. So you get a class object, and from there you could actually initialize an object. You could initialize an object. Okay, and how do I do that? Methods class.forName is an argument. Okay, let me try. Get name, get. Okay, not new not new instance. See here, constructor dot new instance, and this will give me a thread. See, this should be, say suppose unhandled exception. Okay, so what I'm really going to have is object, actually it is a thread, right? Thread object, right? Let me name this. So now I have an object. What I could do is, now say suppose if that is a thread, you can initialize, I'm actually able to create an object using the constructor, calling the explicit constructor. I don't know when the constructor, what type of parameters it is having, but you can query that. You can query how many parameters this constructor is really having. Okay, sorry, you need to take the particular constructor, not I, rather say suppose 0, and get declared annotations, declared exception types. If the method throws exceptions, you get those things here. Yes, new instance. Where do we get the parameter? Declared annotations, generic. Okay, generic parameter types. I think this is going to give you the types that we have, the parameters that we have, parameter types. See here, yes, here you see get parameter types. It will give what type of parameters you have, and it will give, if I have 3 parameters, then I get an array of 3 class objects, and for each thing what I need to do is I need to manipulate. I need to figure out for this particular constructor how many parameters are there and what type of parameters are there. You get from this method, get parameter types. And now for each parameter type you create a value, and then you send that to the new instance method. This takes variable number of arguments. So you can give any type of constructor. If constructor may be taking no parameters, then whatever code I wrote is fine. Suppose if it takes 2 parameters, you need to pass an array of 2 objects having those values. Similarly, if it has 5 parameters, then you need to send the 5 parameters array containing 5 parameter values. Okay, so this is about predominantly how the Java reflections work. The beautiful thing with Java reflections is that it has ability to give you complete control. It is more like you become the scientist about the classes, and you discover, you rediscover, you try to, see what kind of things are there with the class, and without even having any prior information. Given an object to you, you can pretty much query that object, see what kind of stuff it is having, what is the signature of this particular object, what type of methods it has, what type of fields it has, what type of constructors it has, and then believe me, you can invoke the methods. We have seen that. So you can use a constructor we saw that, just now we saw that how to create a constructor object, use the constructor. Here it says constructor of, your particular constructor dot new instance. This will give a new object altogether. It will create an object. You are invoking a constructor. So, and then when it comes to methods, it is not this method, but rather we have something called method. We have seen method dot invocation. Methods of I dot invoke and provide the parameters. Now in this case, I mean, actually, even I'm not sure whether you can understand this or not, but there are two different parameters. First parameter is on which object you need to execute this method. You always need an object to call a method, right? Okay, so on which object you want to call this method, and what type of parameters that this particular method has. Whatever method that we are talking about, you want to invoke it, so what parameters that do we really need to give it to the method? So that goes as a variable number of arguments, vargs, and first one is the actual object on which you want to execute this method. So you can dynamically invoke methods. You can query the object. You can query for methods. You can query for constructors. You can query for even the fields. So this is interesting thing. And which package do we have these classes? What is the package? Tell me. What is the Java package that is having Reflections API? You guys are there or not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What package that I know this Reflections classes are they belong to? Package name. See the screen and
You're asking for the package or?
yeah, package. You have it here in the screen. Which package the Reflections classes belong to? Java.lang.reflect. Isn't it so clear? This is the package name. You see that constructor is a class, field is a class, method is a class, modifier is a class, invocation, target, exception is an exception. But all of them belong to java.lang.reflect. Okay. This is about this is a simple thing, very interesting thing. You can do a lot of magics with this. How you use, it all depends on your own creativity or your own innovation. Okay.
We can retrieve data from private class also.
Yeah, you actually get data. Yes. If you have an object, you can actually query. You can even query the private data. Okay, you need to try it out. You should be able to query the data. I'm not sure if it may throw exceptions, but I am confident that we can actually try that something. Just check it out. See, you can. I think you get the private methods as well. So yes, you should be able to do it. Try it out and let me know if it doesn't work for you.